Hey guys, this is a story that happened in 2019, but I happened to see it on Twitter and it got a lot of traction and I responded to it and it went semi viral because the story was interesting, but it didn't make sense to me. And so I decided to dig into this and I thought it'd be an interesting video. It's, if nothing else, is sort of something you can learn from, or all of us can learn from if you happen to be in this situation. And what happened is here, this girl here, that's her on the left. And then this was her after 17 days lost in a forest in Maui. And that's one of the islands in Hawaii. And the story was in May 2019, Amanda Eller was lost for 17 days in the forest of Maui after a 3-mile hike turned into a harrowing ordeal. She set out on foot without a cell phone, food, or water, as she only planned to be out for a short jaunt. After venturing off the trail, she wasn't able to find her way back. And luckily for her, she wasn't in like Colorado in the winter or even Arkansas. She was in Maui in May, and I looked it up, and the highs are in the 70s and the lows are in the 60s. So she didn't really have to worry too much about hypothermia. Hell, my house is in the 60s at night, unless she got wet. So she wasn't in that much danger by the elements. And it's Hawaii, it's a rainforest, so she had plenty of fresh water to drink. As you saw in the picture, she lost a lot of weight because she had to eat berries and grubs. And, so it was a bad thing. But the question I had when I saw this story, I was like, well, how the hell do you get lost for 17 days in Maui? Maui is not a huge island and it's pretty populous. I looked it up. There's 168,000 people that live there. It's a tourist island and there is a national forest there or state forest. I get it. But I could see being lost for a day or two, but 17 days, how could that be? It didn't really make a lot of sense to me. And so we got kind of into a debate on X about it. And I decided to dig in a little bit deeper. All right. So her first mistake was that she didn't stay on the trail. And the trail she went on to was something called like Cockapoo Loop Trail. I'm pronouncing it that wrong. But something like that. And it was like the Twin Falls or something. That was the name of it. So it's just a little loop of a trail. But if you look here, and we'll read this here, Eller said she let a voice guide her, but it didn't take her back to the car. Amanda Eller says she went out on a hike without her cell phone to connect with nature. Well, she connected with nature and she got lost when the feelings that guided her on the journey didn't bring her back to her car. Well, your feelings don't guide you. A compass guides you. A map guides you. Your feelings don't guide you. Your feelings are worthless. I know we're all based on feelings, but your feelings don't really matter. Nature, the universe doesn't give a shit about your feelings. All right, let's continue. And I really don't know what happened. All I can say is I got out of my car. It's like, I have a strong sense of internal guidance, whatever you want to call that, a voice, a spirit. Everyone has a different name for it. Heart, she said. Yeah, it's called being stupid. Okay. You just don't just go, I'm going to wander around the forest. No, you don't do that. You don't listen to your inner voice or your inner child. And this girl, I could tell, was like real new agey. She was a yoga instructor connected to nature, and nature almost killed her. Nature is a bitch. Nature is not your friend. Nature is evil. I love nature, but it's going to kill you if you're not prepared. So she decided to follow her heart off the forest. And well, let's go on. And she said she listened to those strong callings until she wanted to head back to her car. My heart was telling me, walk down this path, go left. Great, go right. It was so strong. Go left, go right. I'm like, great. This is so strong that obviously when I turn around and go back to my car, it will be just as strong as when I go back. But it wasn't. Instead, it took her deeper and deeper into the woods. Well, yeah. Your little voice isn't going to help you out, find your way back to the car. So, yeah, obviously her first mistake, she should have stayed on the trail, not let her little inner voice let her wander around off the trail. And she assumed it didn't matter if she left the trail because her inner spiritual guide would lead her back to the car. But your spiritual guide hates you. The spiritual guide wants to kill you. And so she found out that pretty quick. So I decided to look into this, exactly the logistics of what happened here in the environment. And here's an example of the forest she was in, just so you get an idea of what it looks like. So it's not horrid, but this is sort of the environment. It looks kind of nice, really. So I was thinking, okay, so you're lost. What do you do? And how do you stay lost for 17 days? I just don't understand that. I could understand if you're in the middle of Alaska, but you're in Hawaii, on Maui, kind of a small island. It's not that big. And so, how did this exactly work? And so I decided to say, okay, well, let's take the worst case scenario. If she just picked a direction and walked in that direction, how long would it take her to find a road or the ocean? And this is assuming worst case scenario that you don't run into a house or something like that. Because again, this island is populated. So the first, let's say if she, and here's the map of the place you can see. So this is like the worst case scenario is if she decided for whatever reason to go south. And if you look at this, if she went south, she would hit a road in a total of 15 miles. So it's at 15 miles if she went south to hit civilization. Okay. And then I said, okay, well, what's the next worst? So let's say instead of going south, she decided to go due east. She would have hit road, I think it's 360. She would have hit 360 within 9 miles. In 9 miles, she would have hit road 360. Now, let's say instead she decided to go due north. If she went due north, she would have hit a road in 4.7 miles. So let's say 5 miles. Now, the best scenario is if she went back west. That's where she came from. And she would have hit a road. She would have hit road 377 in 2.5 miles. So it's not like she was in the middle of nowhere. I mean, she wasn't that far. If she just walked in one direction, I'm sure she would have ran into something. It wouldn't have taken that long. But let's just assume worst case scenarios, for whatever reason, she chose the longest way to go on the island. Now, this is the first point. When you're going somewhere, you should have a basic idea where you are. Where's the location? Like, where's civilization? Is it east of me, west of me, north or south? I mean, that should be your basic guide, right? So, but if she didn't know that, even if she just randomly picked a direction and stuck with it, the worst direction would have been south. That was the longest. That was a total of 15 miles. Now, an average person just walking, you walk about 3 miles an hour. So that would have taken her 5 hours. This is the worst case scenario. And I get it. This isn't on a trail. You have to go around some trees and stuff. So, okay, 15 miles, it would take 5 hours, but let's double that. Let's double that because it's bad terrain. It would take 10 hours, like the whole day, but not 17 days. You could get picking the worst direction. She should have been able to find her way to civilization in a maximum of 10 hours, as long as she kept going straight, probably sooner. I bet she would have ran into a cabin or a car or something like that. Now, the best case scenario, if she just went the way she came from originally and went due west, that's just 2.5 miles, maybe a half hour. And that'd be like an hour walk, maybe 2 hours, right? At the most. And so she had these options. If she just went in one direction, she would have been okay, but she didn't do that. And I think because she's probably just wandering around in circles or something like that. And so, what do you do if you're in this situation? Well, the first thing you should do is have a basic understanding of where you are and where you are in the island. So she would know, oh, okay, I came from this road is to the west, is the park, the trail I am is to the east of the road I came from. So if I should wander around, I can't find my way. I just have to head west and I'll hit the road in 2.5 miles. I mean, you should have a basic understanding of that. And if you're going hiking, have a compass. And if you don't even have a compass, just get I have my on your cell phone, and I'm gonna hide the I don't want to dox myself, but here we go. You have a compass. I'm hiding the point because it actually gives you the GPS coordinates. And I don't want someone to build a drone and strike my house. So I'm going to hide the coordinates. But you can see here. So if you have a cell phone, and she didn't have a cell phone, but most people, they always have their phone with them, and even you will have the compass. So you should be able to have that. And if you don't have your phone, at least take a compass. All right. But she didn't have a compass. So what do you do if you don't have a compass? Well, how do you determine direction? There's a couple of ways you can do this. One way that my dad always taught me, and this is in Colorado, is if you don't even want to worry about direction, just find a stream. And again, this was a lot, it was a rainforest, a lot of streams. If you just follow the stream downhill, it goes to a bigger stream, to a river, and eventually there's some building or something is located on a river. So just follow the river and you're going to run into something, and the river will guide you. So you won't go into circles, because that's the problem if you just keep walking in circles. So that's probably the easiest way. She should have done that. I don't know why she didn't do that, but she didn't. Okay. The other way is just to pick a direction and try to walk in that direction. And if you don't have a compass, it can be a little tricky, but there's a couple of things you can learn. And I learned when I was in Boy Scouts. Maybe I was in Cub Scouts. I learned this, and it's not super accurate, but it people should know. I don't know if they teach us in school anymore. They teach you pronouns, but you should be able to know that the sun comes up in the east, right? And then it sets in the west. So what you can do is in the morning, you're lost. Oh my God. Well, the sun's coming up there. It's always sunny in Hawaii. Point your left hand towards the sun. Okay, do that. And then point your other hand in the other direction. And the way you're facing is going to be due south. Okay. And then so you know a direction to go in. And hopefully, if she was smart, she would know the general location of where this park was. And she would know, oh, okay, the park I am is east to the road I was on. So I want to head back west. So, okay, here's the sun this way, my left hand. So I want to go right. I'm going to go this way. And then you just reverse that when it becomes in the afternoon to make sure you're staying on the right track, because you remember the sun sets in the west. So you want to follow the west. So at this point, when it's afternoon, you take your right hand and point it at the sun, the left hand the other way, and you'll be facing south. So the right hand is west. And that is how you can find your way out. It's not that difficult, and it's not super accurate, but you won't go in circles at least. And eventually, it wouldn't have taken long. And she's a young girl; she should be able to hike her way out. Again, max 2 days, 3 days, and I'm not even talking about super heavy. And it's not even really strenuous hiking at this point. And it wasn't like she's having to climb up Mount Everest or going through quicksand or having a machete. I mean, this is you saw the foliage. It's not that bad. It's you can walk your way through it. Another way you can do it is to in the evening, if you really want to get fancy, you can use the North Star to figure out which way is north. And if you ever want to figure out how to find the North Star, here's a photo. You get find the Big Dipper. See, here's the Big Dipper, and then they call it the plow. And you just go up, and then you'll see something that's called Polaris is the name of the star, and it always is north. And so if you find that star, you know your bearing. So that's north. So again, if you want to go east, that's to your right. If you want to go west, that's to your left. And then you can continue your march. So this is ideally you want a compass, right? That's probably the ideal way. But even if you don't have a compass, there's ways you can hike your way out so you're just not going in circles. Because again, the story didn't make sense to me because she shouldn't have been lost 17 days. I mean, what the hell? Could you be like getting lost 17 days in Central Park in New York City? How do you do that? And I get it's a little bigger than that, but if she just again, even she should have been no matter which direction in one day hit civilization. But okay, say like she's going super slow and she's kind of wandering around, 2 or 3 days at max. So yeah, this is a strange story. I think she was a real naive girl. she was one of these people that they claim to love nature, but they don't really respect nature. They think nature's like Bambi and it just loves me, my spirit guide. No, there is no spirit guide. Nature doesn't give a shit about you. You will just starve and die, and nature doesn't give a damn. Nature's not your friend. I love nature, but don't look at it that way. You have to have some, be prepared. So, anyway, if you guys should get lost, this is what to do. Just don't wander around in circles like this girl did. Talk to you guys later.